Hello and welcome to English for You. I'm Seb.
And I'm Elsie.
And we've got a very interesting unit to talk about today, don't we?
What is it?
Well, we're going to be talking about a library. A kind of library.
What's so special about this library?
Right, libraries aren't that exciting, are they? But this is a very special library. It's a library which doesn't have any books.
没有书?
No, it doesn't have any books, but it has people inside it.
有人在里面.
So, bit of a strange idea, right?
And that's why our title has human library in it.
Right.
Human library, 真人图书馆.
So instead of books, they have people, and they are people with stories to tell. So let's find out more about this interesting place.
The Human Library. Interesting characters with real stories to tell. You can't step into a novel and talk to your favorite characters. But you can try the next best thing at a human library. This organization finds volunteers to talk about their lives with anyone who wants to hear about them. Some of these human books might be gay, homeless, refugees, or former prisoners. They're interesting because they can tell stories about dealing with life's difficulties. At a human library event, readers choose a book from a list of people who can be borrowed. The two of them have a private chat in which the reader asks questions and the book talks openly. This offers the public a chance to understand the unusual lives of people they wouldn't normally meet. Human library events happen around the world in public spaces such as schools, neighborhood centers, and even real libraries. If you can't attend a human library, there's still a valuable lesson to be learned. Don't judge people without really knowing who they are.
Okay, so our article starts like this. You can't step into a novel and talk to your favorite characters. Okay, so we've got that phrase, step into. Now that means enter. You can't go into a story and meet the characters. Why? Because it's not real life. You're reading a novel. You're reading fiction, so something made up.
So I like reading novels, do you?
I like reading novels when I have time. I like to spend some time opening a book and reading a novel. Now, novel is actually our first vocab word of the day. And a novel is a book about something that isn't real. We can consider Harry Potter a novel, for example, or a series of novels, actually, because there's more than one book. That's because the events in these books didn't really happen. They're not real. I'm sorry. You can still go to the Hogwarts castle, though.
Yes, you can go there.
We could also say that these books, these novels, are fiction, what I just said. So fiction is something made up or make-believe. And these are two words we use to say that a story or a world is not real. So what do you call a book about something that is real? What could we say about your textbook, for example? Your textbook is non-fiction. That's because it's about real things that exist in the world. And I think in today's story, we're going to be looking more at non-fiction stuff. So remember, when we're talking about novels, we're talking about fun, made-up stories. And when we're talking about non-fiction books, we're talking about real events. So let's look at our example sentence. Amelia wrote a 300-page novel about a boy who travels across the desert on his own.
Novel 这个字就是小说啦，那里面都是虚构的故事，我们说是 fiction stories。那像是还有哪一些虚构的故事呢？像是 science fiction 科幻类的故事，那也都是虚幻的。那相反呢，我们在 fiction 的字首加上 non non-fiction， 它就是非虚构的故事，像是 biographies 传记就是这一类的。那课文说呢，你没有办法踏入小说里头跟你最喜欢的角色对话。But sometimes I do want to talk to the characters, but it's impossible, right?
Normally, it's impossible.
Normally, yes. However, the article tells us that you can try the next best thing at a human library. 这边看到的 the next best thing, 它代表的是下一个，也就是第二名最棒的事。For example, I wanted to be an actress, but ended up being an English teacher, which is the next best thing. 当上英文老师是仅次于当上演员最好的事物，所以课文里面在说的是最棒的事情呢是跟角色对话。如果做不到，我们就退而求其次。第二名就是在 Human Library 真人图书馆当中做的事情。So what is the next best thing we can do in Human Library?
Well, we can talk to the main characters of some real kind of non-fiction stories.
Okay.
So we find out here that the Human Library isn't really a building, it's actually an organization. We'll get onto what that word means in a second. But the article says this organization finds volunteers to talk about their lives with anyone who wants to hear about them. So, organization is a noun, and an organization is a group of people that work together to achieve a goal or fulfill a purpose. They're kind of like companies, but normally there's a small difference. Companies try to make money and do business. Meanwhile, an organization's main goal is not always to make money. So they can try to do other things. So they could try to change laws or support people in need or people without any money. Or an organization could try to help the environment. If an organization's main job is to help people, animals, or make positive changes, we can also give it another name too. We can call it a charity. Charities do good things for free, and they don't try to charge people money for their services. And that's basically what the Human Library is. It's kind of like a charity because it's trying to give people a free education. We'll find out what that education is in a second, but first let's look at our example sentence. Fiona set up an organization that teaches children from poor families how to read.
Organization 这个字呢，它是个名词，代表组织机构。那刚刚 Seb 提到的 charity 慈善机构也是一种 organization。那 Human Library 真人图书馆这个机构呢，它会找 volunteers， 也就是有意愿的人来跟有兴趣的人谈他们的生活。And then the article says some of these human books might be gay, homeless, refugees, or former prisoners.
Right, okay. And just there, when we're talking about the books, remember, we're actually talking about people, okay? Human books. Right, we saw a word gay there, so let's cut now and see what that word means. Okay, so the word we saw there was gay. Now, gay is an adjective, and when someone is gay, they love people who are the same sex, 性别, as them. They have romantic feelings for these people. I'm actually gay. And I have a boyfriend, 男朋友. If I was not gay, if I had a girlfriend, 女朋友, then I would be straight. Straight means 直男. If you are a girl who likes boys, then you are straight too. And if you are a girl who likes girls, then you can say that you are a lesbian, or you can also say that you are gay. So there's another word we saw there in that sentence as well. We saw that some of them might be gay, homeless, or refugees. Now, a homeless person is someone who doesn't have a home, someone who lives on the street. We could also say they are 游民.
Homeless 这个形容词呢，代表没有家的，那它是由前面这个名词 home 加上字尾 less 组成的。那字尾 less 可以代表没有点的，所以 homeless 没有家的。那另外还有像是 useless 没有用的， hopeless 没有希望的，或是 careless 漫不经心的，都是这类的字尾组成的哦。那另外我们还看到 refugee， 它指的是战争当中的难民，逃难的人。那课文说啊，这些人类书籍里面的故事可能来自同性恋者、游民、难民或是 former prisoners 更生人。
So why do we think that, what do we think these people have in common then? Why are the Human Library using homeless people, gay people, former prisoners? Because they're all quite different, aren't they?
I think they all have interesting stories to tell.
Right. Yes, they all have kind of interesting backgrounds.
Yes.
And they're all people that we don't all spend time with. You know, you could be from a place in the countryside where you've not met many gay people who are out to everyone. Or you might have never met a former prisoner and you might have lots of opinions about what these people are like. So this is an interesting opportunity to meet people that you might not normally meet.
Right.
And the article says that, doesn't it?
Yes, that's why the article says they are interesting because they can tell stories about dealing with life's difficulties. Deal with 这个片语呢，它代表的是处理、应付。那他们之所以有趣，是因为他们需要应付生活上面的难题，进而有人生故事可以告诉我们。
Right, so we can learn from them. The article says, at a human library event, readers, so that's the people who go to the event, readers choose a book from a list of people who can be borrowed. So they choose a person who is willing to tell their story. So these books, as we've said, are not real books with pages. They are people with interesting stories to tell about their lives.
That's right. 在真人图书馆里头呢，读者可以从这个可以被借阅的清单上面选书 ，but it's a list of people. 清单上面不是书名，是人名。So here the readers and the books are all human beings.
Right. The two of them can have a private chat in which the reader asks questions and the books talk openly, or the book talks openly, sorry. So we saw the word private there, and I think that's quite important to this article. Private is an adjective, and when something is private, it happens away from other people. It isn't shared with everyone. So secrets, mimi, are private because they tell someone a secret, because they tell someone something that not everyone knows. We can have private conversations as well when it's just two of us in a room, or we could send private messages on Instagram, for example, or have private conversations about personal matters. Now, this is quite important to the Human Library because these readers might have questions that they can't ask, you know, refugees or homeless people in real life without maybe upsetting them. So it's a chance for them to talk about what they don't know and to listen to the other person's experience.
Right.
所
以呢，private 这个字啊，它是个形容词，它代表的是私人的。And do you have an example sentence for us?
I do. How much money Riley makes is private information. You shouldn't ask him that in front of everybody.
刚刚提到啦 private 这个形容词就是私人的、个人的，那相反词就是 public 公众的、大众的。那 private 通常后面会搭配什么样的名词呢？像是 private lives 私人的生活， private information 私人的资讯，或是课文这边的 private talk 或是 private chat 私人的对话。所以课本这边讲到的是读者和书籍两方面都是人，他们会有私人的对谈，读者问问题，那书籍也就是这些人会回答问题。
This offers the public a chance to understand the unusual lives of people they wouldn't normally meet. Right, as I said, it's a chance for a private chat to ask questions about stuff that you don't really know about. So we saw the word normally there. Now, normally is an adverb, and when something normally happens, it happens the same way it does most of the time. If you normally go to school by bus, then unless it's a special day, you take the bus from your house to your school. Similarly, The article is saying that most days the people at the human library wouldn't meet the books at the human library, so this gives them a special chance to connect. Here's an example sentence for normally. Normally, Trent eats fruit for breakfast, but today he had a hamburger.
Normally 这个副词呢代表通常的、一般的。那再来我们在句子里面看到 offer 这个动词是提供 The public 指的是社会大众，所以课文说到的是这提供了社会大众一个机会来了解不同人的生活，而这些人呢是他们一般不会遇到的。So where can we find these human library events?
Well, it seems that these human library events happen all over the world. Human library events happen around the world in public spaces such as schools, neighborhood centers, and even real libraries.
所以学校、社区活动中心、图书馆都可以看到这些活动。
So what can someone do if they can't go to a human library event?
Maybe they can go online?
Well, the article says if you can't attend a human library, there's still a valuable lesson to be learned.
Okay.
Don't judge people without really knowing who they are. Okay, we saw the word valuable now, and valuable is an adjective. When something is valuable, it is important because it is rare and has meaning, or it's worth a lot of money. You might have heard people talking about things like gold, expensive clothes, or sports cars being valuable. You can sell all of these things for a lot of money, so that's why they're valuable. However, if your mum teaches you an important lesson, you can't sell that for money. However, she will have given you some valuable advice, some stuff with lots of meaning that can help you in the future. It's valuable because it will help you. There's another word we can use if something is really, really valuable, though, and that is priceless. Remember how we were talking earlier about how things that when something doesn't have a quality, we can use the word less? Well, priceless is another one of those words, and something that is priceless is so valuable that you can't put a price on it. You wouldn't call someone's advice, we could also say that things can be worthless as well, but worthless has a slightly different meaning. You wouldn't call someone's advice worthless, and you wouldn't call a precious diamond ring worthless. That's because priceless means 无价的 and worthless means 无用的. Now, let's look at an example sentence for valuable. The teacher taught the students some valuable truths about getting into college.
我们之前学过呢 value 这个名词是价值，那 valuable 这个形容词呢代表就是有价值的、宝贵的、有用的。所以课文说到呢，如果你没有办法参加真人图书馆的活动，那一定要记得这宝贵的一课。哪一课呢？ Don't judge people without really knowing who they are.
Right, don't judge people. Now, why is this important? Well, because when we judge someone, when we use this verb, judge, we form an opinion about them. Often, we form opinions about people without understanding them or without giving them a chance to talk about themselves. For example, if I see someone in dirty clothes, I might think that person is poor. But then I'm probably judging them. I'm forming an opinion about them without really knowing them. That person could be rich. They might just be wearing dirty clothes. But it doesn't matter. I'm still judging them. You might remember last month we learned a useful phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. That was in our unit about wonder, remember? Now, to refresh, judging a book by its cover is to form an opinion about someone just based on their appearance. And it's normally almost always a negative thing. In fact, it is just a negative thing, because like the books at the human library, we all have stories to tell, so we should be allowed to share them. Now here's an example sentence for judge. Brenda judged the man for his strange way of behaving and his unusual accent.
Judge 这个动词代表就是评论、批评。那当名词用的时候呢，它指的是法官、裁判。那刚刚 Seth 提到一句很重要的话 ，Don't judge a book by its cover， 不要以貌取人，或还不了解他人的时候就妄下评论。Yes, and I think we've reached the end of today's article. Let's go to our For You chat.
For You chat.
Okay, we've got quite an interesting question for our interesting article today. Our question is, what kind of person would you want to talk with at a human library? So the first person I'm going to be asking this about is you, Elsie.
Me.
Who would you like to talk to?
Okay, I think I would want to talk with a former prisoner.
Okay.
At the human library because I'm not normally surrounded by these people. So if I could have a chance to talk to them, I would like to ask them some questions about their prison life.
Yes, yeah.
And how that changed them.
Right, right. I also would really like to talk to a former prisoner because I have lots of thoughts about how prisons work and I really want to know what they experience when they come out and whether prisons can help them change. I think I would want to talk to a refugee as well. I don't think I have any bad opinions about refugees, but I don't think I understand a lot of things that they go through. And so I think it would be a very useful experience to learn about that.
And what kind of questions would you like to ask them?
I'm not sure. I think I would just ask them to talk to me about their story and then maybe pause and ask them some questions when I don't really understand or when something surprises me. I think it's best to let these people tell their own story than to ask them, why do you think this? Or why do you act like that? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys can talk about what kind of people you would like to talk to at the human library. You can use some of the people we mentioned in this article, or you can think about some other people that you wouldn't normally talk to in your daily life. And we will join you soon for another exciting article for English for You. So, I'm Seb.
I'm Elsie.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Human Library. Interesting characters with real stories to tell. You can't step into a novel and talk to your favorite characters, but you can try the next best thing at a human library. This organization finds volunteers to talk about their lives with anyone who wants to hear about them. Some of these human books might be gay, homeless, refugees, or former prisoners. They're interesting because they can tell stories about dealing with life's difficulties. At a human library event, readers choose a book from a list of people who can be borrowed. The two of them have a private chat in which the reader asks questions and the book talks openly. This offers the public a chance to understand the unusual lives of people they wouldn't normally meet. Human library events happen around the world in public spaces such as schools, neighborhood centers, and even real libraries. If you can't attend a human library, there's still a valuable lesson to be learned. Don't judge people without really knowing who they are.
Vocabulary Review.
Novel. Kara read all the Harry Potter novels and enjoyed their exciting stories. Organization. Annie and her neighbors formed an organization that helps rebuild old houses in the area. Private. The teacher took Johnny into the hall for a private conversation about his bad grades. Normally. Danny's favorite TV show is normally on at 8 p.m. Tonight, though, it's on an hour later because of a baseball game. Valuable. I did well on the test because my friend gave me some valuable help when we studied together. Judge. When I was growing up, I felt that some people judged me because my family was poor.
智慧小补帖
Volunteer. Refugee. Refugee.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net